The next morning, no, then on Monday, I think it was the 4th, Danny Coco called us and said he wants us to accompany him to the office to, he wants to keep Howard from coming to work that day. Would you be my witness? We said, fine, I'll be your witness. You want us to walk across the street? He called up Paul Pickus at that time and said, Paul, you remember we talked about this?
And hold it, it was on a speakerphone so we could witness the conversation.
On a speakerphone, he said, did you, we talked the other night and we said I want to take out, as president, I want to take Howard away. And he said, yes, I agree. Okay, so now, knowing that we had 5 votes and the majority, we went over to the office, and when the manager came, he was locked out of his office. Okay, the details that happened that day, after he was locked out of his office, I went home, and Stuart went home, and we did our business. Then there's a whole bunch of emails between the board members that saying, the majority, the other board members, and they said, we didn't authorize them to get rid of Howard. And Paul flipped over with the others after he had committed to saying he wants him out, and he probably still say he wants him out today. He says, I didn't want him out. I didn't want him out. So he changed his mind.
Basically,
so
let me correct you slightly.
Yeah.
He said he was confused. He
said
that at a board meeting. I think Jerry's got it on tape, or if we don't have it on video, we definitely have it on tape.
Okay.
He acknowledged the call.
They insisted that we have an emergency meeting. They had an emergency meeting the next day, and they took Danny Coco out as president, and they made Francis Mesereau president and treasurer. And then at the same meeting, 5 board members voted to get a restraining order against Stuart and me and Danny Coco. And then Francis Mesereau and Linda DeKoff went out, and without further board approval of an attorney, hired an attorney that she knew by the name of Michael Stiles. Hired this guy and gave him $350 as a start. And Howard wrote, I asked Howard and have copies of the voucher that he got. This was what they call a schmay dre. You know, this was like doing something slick and fast. They went ahead, they called up downtown, got the check come up, $350, made out to Michael Stiles, and they gave it to Michael Stiles. However, no retainer agreement was ever made between International Village and Michael Stiles. Normally, when you hire an attorney, you get a retainer agreement, and the retainer agreement has certain ingredients, and they went ahead to do that because they wanted to punish Danny Coco and us because they thought that what happened was very bad and they didn't want Howard to come. We were there as witnesses. So now we've been called to court. We had summons and we went to court. We're representing ourselves in court for the most part. We've been to a couple of hearings already. But this lawyer that we meet in court, he's not working free. But you can't find all his bills, Joe. They're hidden them. They're coming in late.
We did find a couple.
And we believe. Now, here is the kicker on this. The first step is after we finish the response, there's going to be a period called discovery. And during this period of discovery, we are entitled to depose anybody in the world by subpoena and bring them into under oath, ask them any questions we want. And that's what we intend to do. This is going to be a holiday for us when we get Francis Mesereau, Linda DeKoff, and all the people involved, even Paul Pickus, Michael Schenkel. We can ask them any questions that are even remotely connected to our lawsuit. They don't have a case against us.
Now, if they
want, wait.
Contempt of court.
Wait. The judge told us this past week, he says, when you go to discovery, you can interview anybody, okay? And then you can have discovery, then you can have interrogatories, and then you go to trial. We are only praying that we go to trial. Because what is the complaint? The complaint is a restraining order so we don't do it again. And for them to want the judge to say, don't do it again, which was a one-time incident, will never be done again, it's going to cost the association, if it goes to trial, maybe $10,000 or $15,000. They don't care. It's not their money. So we're waiting now, and you can tell them, Jerry, and you can show them the tape.
It'll cost 15 grand.
And I'll tell you this, Jerry, we want to go to trial because he's asking for an injunctive relief. You understand? He's not asking for money. There was nobody damaged with money. There was no loss of money. And all of this because they want to get even with us because Danny Coco happened to do what we believe is the right thing. Even though we had no part of it, we were sitting there as witnesses. That's all.
It's probably the only right thing he did in his whole presidency.
But Joe said 1,500.
That's a big thing.
We haven't found that much.
No, we did find the other two. You
So
forgot.
we're gonna spend
We
10
found
or
other
15,000 to
but
litigate this nonsense and we
What
can't get our
happens when an
grasp cut.
attorney doesn't make a retainer agreement?
Wow.
We don't even
You're
know his
wide
hourly rate.
open.
We don't have his hourly rate anywhere.
We have no hourly rate, no conditions of a lawsuit. This is how egregious and how bad this is that these people did. And they're using your money to sue us.
Scott,
That's it.
at the last meeting, of all the things that were discussed, what I found amazing, of all the things that are important, and I think what we're talking about tonight is pretty important. The president of the association says, aside from lowering the temperature in the hallways, it's already like 85 degrees, we're going to take out the light bulbs over each door.
Okay?
Yeah, that was Michael Schenkel's idea.
I can still see pretty good. You've got people in their 80s.
They won't be able to open the
They
door.
can't even open their goddamn door. You can't see now. Wait a second. Wait a second. I live in Interlochen. Our elevator went. It was hard for me to walk 3 floors. I'm overweight, I got high blood pressure, I was out of breath, but I did it. I saw people, including George Carone, who was the president, who lives beneath me, having strokes. They were locked in their apartments, they couldn't leave, they couldn't go to doctor's appointments, not for 1 day, not for 5 days, it was at least 10 days. I went to the office and I said, this is an abomination. You can't tell me that in the entire world, there's not a part to fix this elevator.
That was Howard's fault.
Now wait a
I remember
minute,
that.
they said they were very nice, we're working on it. I heard later through the grapevine, and I absolutely believe it, that we owed money to the elevator company and they wouldn't come out until the bill was paid. They had the part, they could have fixed it, it took about 10 days.
Okay, let me explain what
If
this
it's true, it's a
No,
travesty.
let me explain what the real
That's
story is.
exactly.
It's
We
a
switched-
travesty.
No, we switched elevator companies, and we owed Company A money, and that's why they wouldn't come out. And Company B wasn't gonna come out unless we paid them in advance. So we're caught, the poor people in the building were
Stuart,
caught.
who gives a shit?
I know,
Right.
you know what I told Howard?
Exactly. If you had to
Who
fly
gives
it
a
in-
shit?
if you had
Fix the
to-
elevator.
Listen, I went in and told Howard, I don't care. The part has to exist in America somewhere.
It's a joke.
Pay for it,
Well,
It's a
pay to
joke.
have it shipped
It's a joke.
UPS and
Well,
get it here.
You're getting him back tomorrow, and when you go in the office to see him, you know him, he's laughing all the way to the
Scott, let me
bank.
ask you a question. If you had
Won't be able to
1,000,
see 'em.
if you
Won't
had
be able to see 'em.
1,000 people, excuse me, if you had 1,000 people here tonight, and if everybody was totally in agreement with you, then what? What do we do?
Can't do anything.
Can't do anything. So
What
what
do
the
we
hell
do?
is all this
You
about?
can pick it
What do
outside,
we
but I'll
do?
tell you something
Jerry's
else
got
you
the
missed
only
at the
answer.
meeting.
Buy
At the
'em up.
meeting,
Buy 'em up.
Francis Mesro said, Stuart, you're a liar, you're just getting the people charged up in terms of the assessment and the maintenance increase. Then I said to her, you're the one that brought your accountant and our accountant here, and he said those exact words at the last meeting. What does that tell you? Something ain't working up here, baby.
Well,
That's a fact. How could you forget that?
you know, you bring up a good point, Stuart, because we are helpless here. The unit owners, we need a cadre of people to come to our side to support our position. who will send emails to the leadership and say, cut this crap out.
They don't care. They don't care.
But we don't.
They
but
don't care.
There's too much apathy
They
here.
don't care. If they cared, they'd be here tonight. They'd be at every opportunity. They'd send one of the so-called majority leaders to hear what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
Not to send a spy or to whatever they're doing to find out what went on tonight. Because that's all they do.
I tell them I'm going to send this to them. I'm going to tell them what went on tonight. I don't keep any secrets.
They don't.
I believe everybody
They
should
don't
know.
care. Look, I've been criticized for 4 years, and I've never been verbal before. I think I sent one interesting letter 3 years ago to the board, and I made sure that everybody got a copy. And I put some good points in there. Nobody ever said a word. I said, okay, nobody cares. I forgot my train of thought, I'm sorry.
But you wrote a nice letter.
You belong right on the board if you didn't
No,
get that.
you know, I was in an ambient stupor. I was going to write, because I heard
He wrote a
you
beautiful
and somebody
letter.
else were bickering back and forth like two teenage girls, and it was 2 o'clock in the morning. I said, you know what, this is a joke. And I got carried away, and I started talking about some of the things in the village that I see, and I go, and you know what, I got about 40 responses, thanks to you, that you sent it out to everybody.
Yeah.
And I actually pushed the wrong button, and it went to more people than I thought, but I got about 40 responses, and every one of those responses was supportive, not just of what I had to say, because what do I have to say, but
Exactly.
to the idea that we are like lambs to the slaughter here.
Absolutely.
And I'm really getting tired of it, personally, and I don't know what to do about it.
We can't do anything.
I don't want to be here tonight. But
They
you know what, I
don't-
figure, you know,
they
I'm
don't
paying
talk
all
to
this
us.
money every
They
month.
don't respond to us. They talk to other
a lot of
people.
money.
They'll talk to Jerry. They'll talk to Michael Schenkel.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. I was criticized for 4 years for 2 things. When I saw where things were going here, and I told certain people, I didn't go on the microphone to talk, I said, when I told certain people that I paid what I paid for my apartment, I was happy to pay it. It was October of 2005, and it was what it was selling for. It was the highest price ever paid for any unit in International Village. That's my legacy. And if anybody thinks I'm bragging, this is not Trump Towers. It's not. I didn't pay $1 million. Whatever I paid, I paid $221,000. My tax bill just came in, and my market, screw the assessed value, my market value on a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, $96,000. Thank you. $96,000. If there's a good side to that story, my property taxes are $1,400. They were $5,400.
Wow, that's a break.
1,400?
Wow.
Yeah, but you know what? I feel so
kidding.
I know, but I feel painted into a corner. I couldn't leave here. They're going to carry me out in a box. That's how I'll leave International Village.
And you're not a likely to carry
Not
out.
now. I go home, I'm going to eat the whole refrigerator. These are so frustrating, these meetings, because I really believe you guys have a good heart. I think Jerry has a good heart. I think Jerry's a wonderful man. But I think you've got interests like everybody. Everybody has interests.
Let me
You know,
tell you.
everybody has interests.
What's unusual about that?
No, but you know what? I think in general, this investment community idea and the rental community idea, you're right, you can't get a mortgage. You cannot get a mortgage in here. You cannot get a mortgage in here for about 10 reasons. And I do this every single day. The banks do a condo questionnaire. And if the condo questionnaire is filled out in this office or the management company, honestly, nobody's getting a mortgage in here.
Absolutely correct.
Trust me.
You gotta get rid of your apartment by.
Oh, so I've been criticized that I don't bring buyers into international communities. You're damn right I don't. I have a legal, fiduciary, and moral responsibility to my buyers that if I know something's going on that ain't kosher, I gotta tell my people.
Yeah.
I can't bring people in here in good faith to buy.
Well, Stuart, let me explain why we called this meeting and why we write a lot of emails out. Because we take our position seriously, even though our hands are tied, we feel obligated to let the unit owners
We need to
know
know.
what's going on.
We need to know. I wish we heard
I
from
mean,
a lot of
it's
other
that
people.
simple.
We don't.
Yes, go ahead, hon.
I have another question. So what happens to old-time residents who paid their big assessment and pay their maintenance every month, cannot pay an additional month-to-month added maintenance?
You're not gonna have a choice. You gotta
They
pay
have
it.
a final-
Added assessment.
They have a financial problem. Either their children are gonna help them, or they're gonna get delinquent, or some other problem will happen. But you have to pay. Those who don't pay must be paid by the people who are paid.
It's not just here.
So
It's
700
everywhere.
people
It's not
are
only
gonna
our
pay
problem.
for 832. You put 7 into 132, that means you're gonna have to pay 15% more just to pay up for the deficit.
That's the legal limit that any maintenance can go
No,
up in
that's
1
not,
year.
No, it's not.
15%.
No, no.
That's what I was
Not
told.
sure
No, no,
about.
No, let me tell you.
Well, here's my concern, the people that can't afford to pay are gonna
Listen
become
to
more
what
delinquent, you're
Scott
gonna have more
said. He
delinquents.
researched it.
No, I know.
You can raise the maintenance as high as you want. However, tell them what the however is.
Okay, here, listen to this.
What are you doing later?
The board is not required by law to limit the increase to 15%. The board could raise the maintenance increase as high as it deems necessary. The only difference is that if it goes above 15%, the unit owners can protest by having a special meeting in order to consider a substitute budget, which eventually must be approved by the unit owners. Now, the requirement for this special meeting, if the board comes in and says we want to raise it 25%, we have to get 10% of the unit owners. 84 unit owners have to sign a petition to call a special meeting. At the special meeting, the majority vote of the unit owners will say, we don't want to spend 25%. That meeting must take place in 60 days from the day of the meeting. The meeting must take from the application. But the law is very clear. A condo board can raise your maintenance 100% tomorrow, if they thought it was right. Now the burden is on the unit owners to say, let's have a meeting and reduce it. Now there's some communities that have to do that. There are some communities of 100 communities, there's only 10 people living in them. Everybody else got foreclosed, so they've got until everybody is out. We're going down like this here. Because of this maintenance increase and this assessment, more people are gonna go tank.
Scott,
Go ahead.
one idea that I've had, that I've talked about time and again, and no one ever seems,
Loud, speak up.
no one ever seems to go anywhere with the idea that I've had. It's not a popular idea, but it's going to prevent a lot of people who are right on the edge now, and I know 7 or 8 people in my own building who cannot pay another $15 or $20 a month more, let alone paying $40 or $50 a month plus the other assessment. It's going to put them into foreclosure by having this extra assessment plus going up 10 or 15%. Here's the idea, that we could all share in the pain of preventing an increase, just cutting out the cable, okay? Cut the cable out. That's $20,000. How much is it a month?
Dick, didn't you go and inquire about that?
18.
No, but you can't
It's
do
18.
that.
Hold it. It's 18. Just say we don't
Dick
want you
inquired
anymore.
about that.
We don't want your services. We're paying Comcast $18,000 a month as a village. That would put us in the black. That would
So
make up
you
the
got-
difference.
you have
Then
to offer a
everybody
service.
contacts Comcast that wants it. Cable television is not a necessity.
No, but
To
so
live.
now, once the contract is up, you can do that, and I agree with you.
When is the contract
I
should be
don't
up?
know,
Very soon.
it's only about 6 or 8 months more.
Right.
No, I thought it was done in this November.
I thought it was done this November.
You could be right, I'm guessing.
So what we could do is have no assessment, no increase, and just have people, hey, you know, if you want
Everybody
cable
pays their
TV,
own.
we'll all share in the pain and have the people that are paying nothing, the deadbeats, aren't getting, at least they're not getting free television anymore. Jerry, is that a decent?
That's interesting, and I believe that should be paid individually anyway, and I think I believe there should be water
I've
meters.
been saying that since
in
I got
every
here.
unit,
Meters.
You know, and
Yeah,
that
I
would
don't
save,
know.
you're talking about
Jerry,
hundreds of thousands of
Jerry,
dollars.
I agree with you on the water. The
So in the
problem with the
meantime,
water is
we're gonna pay
it
more
could
money,
cost us $1
the
million
grass keeps
to
growing,
put a meter in
and
every
there's
unit.
200 people sitting around
Very
all day
expensive.
in their apartments watching television
right,
that
it
we're
should
paying
be.
for, and they're not paying anything. So we gotta share in the pain a little
Okay,
bit.
there
And it's
is-
gonna save, it's a lot of money. It's $18,000.
Someone gave me a
Gotta
suggestion
do something.
that was in the paper this
Just don't
past
pay
week.
more.
They said they have evidence, and you're entitled by law in a condominium, if someone owes you money, you can cut off his water. You cut off the water. Now, that's not an easy thing to do. We do have access to everybody's apartment. The association has access to the apartment to do anything we need to protect the interests of the association. So it's probably, maybe possible, maybe an invasion of privacy, but if we can get into their apartment, you could shut off a person's water.
I'd love to do that.
Huh?
I'd go with you.
However, there's a however. Many of the apartments, one apartment feeds another. And that in order to do this apartment, to shut it off, you're shutting off this one.
I'll do the plumbing
This could
myself
happen-
to separate it.
This could happen in selected
these
apartments,
deadbeats out.
like the corner apartments maybe, you could shut off the water. But that would be a good place to start. Take the corner apartments that are delinquent
cut that.
and
Get
shut
the
off
That'll
their
be a nice
water.
smell after a
That's
couple
all.
days.
So that has to be
Will you go
explored.
with me?
But
Gotta have an
there's no
outhouse,
one to
but-
tell
Shut
to
off
this
the
to.
water.
There's no one to talk to,
I don't want
Jerry.
my
because they
smell,
don't-
somebody next door to me doesn't have
I
water.
think we ought to all thank Scott for getting us together and making us aware of
The only
all
thing
these.
that's missing here is coffee and cake.
That's
We
right.
had 3 times the people.
There you are. You should have asked, we would have gotten the collection.
I appreciate that you
As
called
far
the
as
meeting.
I know, the electric bills of the cabanas are paid by the association. It's never been changed. Am I right, Scott?
Yeah, when the developer built the cabanas, when the developer
Years and years.
So raise their fees.
when the developer built this community, he did not want to run a line from the meter room here and put in separate meters for the cabanas. We all have our separate meters in our buildings, in the corners of our buildings, in the middle, in the corners.
Raise the maintenance.
But in the cabanas, it would have to come
Raise
out
the
of
maintenance.
one of these rooms here. So the cabanas have been getting free electric for all these years. For 30 years, they've been getting free
They
electric.
have washer, dryers,
That's
air
$1,400 a month there that's wasted.
And I'm here for
Any one
snowbirds.
of
When they open those doors, it's so cold, I need a coat on.
Any one of us could sue the association for wasting this money. They should go ahead and put in the meters and put a lien, tell the people they have to pay for the meters, whatever it costs, and that's it. That's the way to solve the
I
problem.
said that 2 years
Just
ago.
go in and
nobody
tell them,
listened.
call an electrician, tell them to put in 8 meters, send the bill to the people, and they have to pay. But no one wants to address the problem. No one wants to do anything.
No.
A lot of ideas can be explored.
You guys are stuck there.
Scott, I have a question.
Yes, it is.
If we paid this one time in October, a second payment, is that gonna be finished, or in 3 months we'll be hit? Come back
Oh, it's
and-
gonna continue.
Okay.
It's gonna.
We are losing,
See the situation.
we are losing, it's documented, and I have the records, and we work with Joe. Joe, the records we give you, we're losing about 35,000 a
I put
month.
everything on a spreadsheet.
Huh?
I
Yeah.
put everything on a spreadsheet so we can track it electronically. The numbers that Scott gave me, it worked out to about $35,000 a month, except for 2 months ago, it peaked to $70,000. The spreadsheet doesn't lie. So I talked to Mark Jones about it. I want to talk to him a little bit more about it, because he mentioned that, well, there's a couple things in there that shouldn't really be under that line item. And I said, but Mark, the bottom line is, we take in X amount of money, we pay out X amount of money, and the bottom line is what we have left. So even taking his couple items out and putting them back into somewhere else in the budget, we are losing $22,000 a month.
Okay, so
We have been.
Virtually the cost of the
22
cable
or
television.
whatever it is,
I'm telling you, it's such a big,
unrecoverable.
make them pay for
I've been
something.
saying
that's for 2010. So right now, we're short $250,000.
Just keep raising.
Raise that maintenance and get rid of
That's
the
got
cable, there, you
$22,000.
met the money,
We gotta,
you've got the deficit.
January,
gotta make
Start
people
working.
pay.
we have to get to
That's the cable.
15%. Now, we take in 227, supposed to take in $227,000 a month. We've been taking in about 198, 200,000, so we've been running in the area of 27 to 29,000. It's gone up and down. But we only collect now that much less every month. We are never going to catch up with this. If we have this assessment and the maintenance
That doesn't do
increase,
anything.
it's going to increase. There'll be more people not paying.
Yes.
It's important to get the apartments full of people. And it's important to have tenants in there right away and owners who are paying. But Jerry Miro's idea would be great, as long as they would only have one vote for the entire consortium. I'd say fine, do it tomorrow, but it's still illegal. You still gotta have an amendment passed by the unit owners. So somebody who was looking to do that should be thinking, let's send out another amendment to fix this now, not to sit on it. You can't, the unit owners have to decide. That's it.
Any other questions on it?
We're done. This was very helpful for everybody.
Yeah. People just stare blankly when I talk about the cable.
I hope we can all
That's
say it.
the 8